What's up guys, welcome back to my channel Anime Fiction. I'm back at the new episode of Naruto was Reborn and Saitama in My Hero Academia Part 3. And if you did enjoy the video, give this a like, and if you're new to my channel and like my content, subscribe and hit the notification bell for more crossover fictions. Now let's begin this new video.
Chapter 14 Class 1A Assault Online Books and Light Novels. A dark swirl erupted in front of the central plaza fountain, gradually growing in size. A hand emerged from the swirl, as did the head of a guy, who had a hand gripping and covering his face, displaying just his bloodshot eyes. "Huddle together and don't move," Aizawa yelled, rallying the students behind him and 13. "What is it? Is this included in the training?" Eijiro inquired as he watched more and more people emerge from the black swirl. "No one moves. Those are the villains," Aizawa yelled. "Sensei. What about the intrusion detection sensors?" Momo questioned to 13. "Of course, we have some setup, but..." 13 wasn't sure why they hadn't been notified about villains on campus. Naruto moved over to the balcony and observed the situation as the students stared at the criminals swarming out of the gate. He could see the emo guy standing close to the large bird-like monster with its brain exposed. "Get back. Nobody is allowed to approach the villains, you all need to stick together until reinforcements arrive," Aizawa instructed to Naruto. "Do not act hastily." "Are you going to leave us here while you fight alone? That's insane," Eijiro exclaimed. "Even if you suppress all of their quirks, there are so many of them. Your battle strategy is to catch villains after removing their quirks. However, there are so many." Izuku spoke up but was cut off by Aizawa, who put on his goggles. "A hero always has more than one trick up their sleeves." Turning to 13, Aizawa stated, "I'm counting on you. Protect the kids," before leaping to his knees and using the scarf around his neck as a weapon, entangling and bashing people left and right. "I should certainly go help Aizawa, but then there's the remainder of the class," she says. "What was the name of the black fog guy again? He'll teleport everyone to various locations. If I see him, I should try to stop him first." Naruto pondered, his gaze fixed on his surroundings. Aizawa should be fine for the time being. It's only before All Might arrives that he starts having problems. The emo guy stood in the central plaza, scratching his neck and muttering, "God, pro heroes are such a pain. We wouldn't stand a chance if we were simply any rabble. We need to evacuate," Tenya yelled as he attempted to direct the gathering to the emergency escape. "I'm afraid I can't allow that." As 13 put the students behind her, a black fog appeared in front of everyone, preventing them from leaving. "Greetings. We are the League of Villains. It may seem arrogant of us, but we have allowed ourselves into UA High School, in order to witness the death of All Might, the symbol of peace." Naruto approached Todoroki from behind and whispered to him as Kurogiri began his monologue. "Hey, I'm going to fight this guy, so look after the others, okay? Thank you." Naruto said this without waiting for Todoroki's response, who wanted to say something but didn't have the opportunity. "All Might, I believe, should have been here. Is there some sort of change? That is, indeed, nay." Naruto walked past 13 and stood in front of the black fog man before he could finish. "Oh, this is taking a long time. Look, if you surrender right now, I'll make sure you're not too badly harmed." Naruto spoke, and the surrounding environment fell silent. "This isn't the time for you to be reckless," 13 yelled, grasping Naruto's arm and attempting to pull him back, but Naruto stayed firm, not moving an inch. "I suppose such an attitude is to be expected from the golden children of UA, but I don't have time to play with you. That will be left to the others." Kurogiri spoke as his fog began to expand and engulf the students. "If the Hulk can accomplish it, so can I," Naruto reasoned, recalling the Marvel comics he had read in his previous life. Clap! The black fog guy was sent flying back down to the fountain, crashing into it, while a massive volume of air was pushed outwards, pushing the black fog away from everyone. "What?" As he watched his teleporter laying in the water, unable to get up, the emo guy yelled. "What in the world happened? Was it all for naught?" Kurogiri rose slowly, stumbling a few times before saying, "No, it has to be." One of the students. Shigaraki scraped his neck even more furiously, muttering, "What the hell? You were sent soaring by a child. How ineffective are you? Arg." 13 returned to Naruto and the others, but before she could say anything, Naruto cut her off. "You guys stay here. I'm going down to assist Aizawa sensei." See ya. Oh, Momo, take responsibility for me. You are, after all, vice president. He then leapt down the steps into the swarm of villains, but then cried back, oh yes. There are several villains strewn over the area. Be cautious. What the hell is going on? What does he think he's going to do? Katsuki yelled as he rushed past the other students and down the stairs. Wait. Stop. Don't abandon the group, 13 yelled, but Todoroki pushed forward, trailing Katsuki as she pursued Naruto. Ah, you kids. Sensei. Shouldn't the other teachers be here by now? Izuku exclaimed. I believe someone is jamming all communications with the outside world. He's correct. We must have someone go out and obtain assistance. Tenya is the fastest of us all. Therefore, he should sprint back to the main campus and seek assistance, Momo stated. You should run out and warn the other teachers. All Might should be at the main campus, 13 told Tenya, nodding. He'll rush over in a matter of seconds if you tell him, so hurry, bring us assistance. Tenya exchanged glances with the others before nodding and hurrying away. We must hold out until reinforcements arrive. If we leave now, the villains will be able to leave the dome and enter other parts of campus as well. We should descend and assist others. Eijiro made the suggestion. He's right, Bakugo, Todoroki, and Naruto are already going down there to fight, so it would only be right for us to go down and help them in any way we can. Mina pushed for 13. 13 stared at the students' resolute expressions and sighed, stick close to one another, and support one another whenever you can. Come with me. She then led the gang down to Aizawa and Naruto's location. Naruto fell on the ground near Aizawa, who was struggling to breathe. What exactly are you doing here? I told you to hang out up there. What sort of hero would I be if I just stayed still? Naruto muttered as he approached a swarm of villains charging at him. Haha. Look at this brat. He just strolled over like nothing happened. Death to him. A man with a mohawk hairdo yelled as he sharpened his nails and stabbed Naruto with them. Arg. The man yelled, his fingers bent and broken from clashing with Naruto's chest. Naruto raised his palm and cut it down at the man's neck, knocking him out. I've always wanted to try that out, Naruto explained. Ha. A woman screamed as she struck Naruto with a whip. Naruto easily caught it and held it in his hand as he was totally emotionless. He raised his arm. Why you wouldn't hit a girl, right? The woman mumbled. I'm an advocate for gender equality, Naruto added with a smile. He then swung the whip back, yanking the woman with it. The woman's head met with his arm as he stretched his arm out, knocking her out in one blow as she tumbled towards the ground. Naruto cracked his knuckles as he looked around at the dozen people. Naruto punched the air, releasing a tremendous shockwave that sent them all flying back, crashing into various structures in the ground, deforming the region. The gang of villains fighting Aizawa paused after seeing Naruto's performance, as they became concerned after witnessing the strength of the bald kid in front of them. Faced with everyone's glare, Naruto lifted his slightly smoldering crimson-gloved hand and asked, who's next? Arg. Take him down. Get rid of that damned baldy. As he scraped his neck, the man with his hands all over his body yelled. You're the one who's bald. As the villains around him charged forward, Naruto yelled back. He's not the only one here, you fuckers. Katsuki yelled from behind as he jumped and attacked a gathering of individuals, generating an explosion that knocked them off their feet. Following that, a wave of ice swept forward and covered another group of villains in ice, completely freezing them. Did you intend to overwhelm us with sheer numbers? It will take a lot more than that to put an end to our class. As he stood close to Aizawa, Todoroki said. What the hell are you kids even up to? Remarked Aizawa, shaking his head. I'm going to have to chastise you all after this is all over. You'll have to punish me along with them. 13 replied as the remainder of the class trailed behind her, dispatching more villains along their path. Aizawa sighed hard and remarked, great, the more the merrier. The corner of his mouth, though, was slightly lifted. These pests are so annoying. But, at the very least, by banding together, you saved us the bother of killing you all. The man yelled as he took out a walkie-talkie and ordered all of the villains hiding in the domes to congregate and kill the students in the center plaza. A dark swirl formed itself again from behind, attempting to catch Naruto off surprise. Naruto felt something tickle his neck and craned his head back, only to collide with someone's HST, sending him crashing back towards the scratching man. Huh? What was it? Naruto murmured as he rubbed the back of his neck. What? How do you get your ass handed to you by a kid? The man yelled at the figure that had just collided with him, forcing him to dodge out of the way. He is far more powerful than I had imagined. He even managed to clear my fog. Kurogiri gripped his heart as if a wrecking ball had slammed into him. Whoa. Your head is incredible. Mina yelled after seeing Naruto headbutt Kurogiri away. That was hilarious. Allow me to do the same. Eijiro yelled as he hardened his head and headbutted a man, leaving him to collapse on the ground with a massive concussion. Tisk. It's just a headbutt, Katsuki said under his breath, shoving two villains away from him. Todoroki had a contemplative expression and briefly stroked his head out of sight. Watch out. Izuku yelled as three people jumped towards Uraraka. Izuku twisted his index finger and flicked it forward, breaking it and sending out a tremendous shockwave that pushed them away. When Naruto noticed this, he said, I should try that too. Todoroki, who had heard him, looked at him with interest and watched Naruto do the same thing as Izuku, pulling his finger back and sending out an even more powerful shockwave. 5 different people were blown back into the distance. The only difference this time was that Naruto's finger was still intact. No. This is not going as planned. First, All Might isn't even present, and now you can't even take down a swarm of fucking kids. Arg. What the hell are you guys doing? Shigaraki yelled, rubbing his neck furiously. Aizawa then ran at Shigaraki, who followed suit and charged forward while quietly counting down to himself. While the two were battling, scores more villains began to flood over to their location. They must be from elsewhere. Naruto paused before digging his palms into the earth. Normal serious, small table flip. Then Naruto lifted the entire earth beneath the villains, flipping them over and trapping them behind the debris. He let out a gasp as he suddenly remembered something. Do I have to pay for the damages? Naruto muttered something to himself. Wait. Did I forget something? With a pondering gaze, Naruto turned to glance around. Then he noticed the large bird-like beast approaching Aizawa. Oh yeah, him. Just as the beast grabbed Aizawa, Naruto leapt forward and grabbed him out of the path. Arg, thanks, Aizawa grumbled as he grasped his collapsing elbow. Hey, handyman, you should probably surrender peacefully before this escalates, Naruto remarked, nodding and turning to the white-haired man with his hands on his body. If you don't, that's all right by me. But it won't be so pleasant for you. Are you a handyman? Are you making fun of me? It appears that we will have to change everything. Despite the fact that Nomu was created to slay All Might, you will have to make do as a toy and test target. Nomu, kill him. Rip him apart. The man yelled as Nomu lunged forward and slammed his fists into Naruto's shoulder. Watch out. Aizawa and the others yelled, but it was too late since dust and debris were being kicked up, obstructing their view. Naruto. Mina and the others yelled. Izuku was gripped in dread, believing he had just witnessed Naruto's death. You know. Naruto's voice abruptly startled everyone, startling them out of their stupor. Even the villains turned towards him. As the dust settled, they noticed Naruto, or what remained of him, as his head poked out of the earth. It's actually kind of warm. And comfortable, Naruto commented. What? Why is he not dead? Nomu, pound him to a pulp. Shigaraki gave the order as Nomu lifted his fist up to smack Naruto in the head. A.N. Went back to canon names since I couldn't bear writing white-haired man anymore. But they won't know his name yet. And Naruto had simply forgotten what it was. Not on my watch. A booming voice cut them off as a massive powerful guy pushed through the door and banged into the Nomu, knocking him out. All Might. The students applauded, but the villains looked terrified. All Might. Shigaraku yelled angrily. Young Uzumaki, are you hurt? All Might inquired as he examined Naruto, who was buried neck deep in the earth. Oh, I'm fine, Naruto responded, pulling himself out of the earth unscathed. Shigaraki stood there, utterly still, muttering. What on earth is this kid made of? He got a direct strike from Nomu and is still alive and well? The Nomu then charged one more towards All Might. Carolina smash. All Might yelled, executed a somersault, and slashed his hands across each other in an X. As a result, the Nomu was still perfectly fine, forcing All Might to widen his eyes. Nomu then punched forward, causing All Might to stop it with his arms, although he was forced back, leaving 2 lengthy trailing marks on the ground. I'm sorry, All Might, but I'm going to steal your thunder this time. It's nothing personal. Naruto's voice cut them off in their fight. You know, this could be a lot of fun. Because you're not a human, I won't have to hold back. Naruto stated this as he emerged behind Nomu and punched him in the back. Boom! Nomu's back erupted forth, splattering blood on the ground. What? How can a kid like you do that much damage to Nomu? Yelled Shigaraki. It was created to kill All Might, and it even has shock absorption. Arg. Annoying. But that will not suffice. He has the ability to regenerate in an instant. Dude, can you just shut up for a moment? Naruto muttered as Nomu swung his fist back at him. Naruto just dived beneath the fists and punched towards its extended arm, breaking it apart instantly. Even All Might couldn't inflict so much damage to it, but Naruto merely needs one punch to pierce it. Momo thought to herself as she turned to face All Might and noticed some injuries on his arm. As it kicked towards Naruto, Nomu's body began to regenerate. In exchange, Naruto raised his right arm to block, causing Nomu's leg to flex and split in half. This is just, Kaminari murmured as he couldn't believe what he was seeing. Let's see if you can regenerate from this, remarked Naruto. Normal serious. Consecutive normal punches. Naruto unleashed a barrage of single-handed blows with his right hand. Nobody could keep track of his fists as they flew by at breakneck speed, turning into a red blur from his glove. Naruto then came to a halt, causing the Nomu to explode into a massive puddle of blood and organs that scattered everywhere. Bang bang asterisk as if on cue, the ground all around Naruto burst into debris, shooting towards the remaining villains and knocking them out. Oh no, you don't, Naruto said as he picked up a rock and threw it at him. Kurogiri instantly created a black swirl to transfer the rock away, grabbing Shigaraki before fleeing. Well, it doesn't matter if they flee, because they will reappear. Back then, Naruto reflected to himself. Everyone turned to look at Naruto, who was simply waving his fist with a small grin. He killed that monster. In a matter of seconds. With his mouth wide open, Eijiro said. Not only him, but everyone else was as perplexed as he was. All Might could do was stare at Naruto, thinking, those punches. Even I couldn't keep up with its speed. If I were on the receiving end of it, I'd be grateful to have someone like him on our side. Naruto then went to All Might and said, I'm going to deal with the remaining villains, so you can rest easy. His remarks, get some rest, you shouldn't push yourself, gave All Might a hint. Of course, the truth was that All Might misconstrued his remarks. I'm counting on you then. Let me handle the situation here. All Might stated before storming about and taking out the remaining villains who refused to surrender. Super awesome. What in the world was that attack? Kaminari yelled, jolting the kids out of their trance. He's so powerful it's frightening. Who knew he could so easily overcome Nomu? Jiro stated. Yeah, it's quite amazing, actually, Hagakure said. It shouldn't be scary. It should be amazing. I think I heard him say what that attack was, consecutive normal punches, Mina remarked. That is incredible. Maybe I should start naming my attacks as well. You're fangirling quite hard there, Jiro commented with a faint smirk, causing Mina to scratch her head and a slight blush to form on her cheeks. What did you expect? She's pink. What the hell was that? Todoroki was lost in thought, staring at the ruins of the Nomu, while Katsuki growled loudly to himself. Naruto reappeared as the others were conversing amongst themselves. Hey, I'm done. Most of his classmates rushed to him and swarmed around him, bombarding him with questions. Seeing this, All Might used it as an opportunity to escape away just before transforming back, giving Naruto one more look. I appreciate it, young Naruto. Without you, I would have had to push myself even harder, causing myself even more injury. Naruto, that was incredible. It was wonderful how you defeated that Nomu creature. Eijiro yelled as he wrapped his hands around Naruto's shoulders. I loved how you punched that creature into a pulp, Mina exclaimed, punching her right arm forward as quickly as she could in imitation of Naruto. She's correct, Ribbit. Ribbit, you're like a little version of All Might, Asui stated. Izuku stood off to the side, as he was thinking. I didn't do anything at all. I'm supposed to be All Might's heir, yet all I did was stand off to the side as Naruto fought with All Might against that Nomu. I'm going to get stronger, he said, hands clenched. I'm getting stronger so that I'm no longer useless. Katsuki heard what Izuku said but said nothing, instead clicking his tongue and staring at Naruto. Todoroki turned to look at them after watching Naruto. Naruto's actions demolished the majority of the area with his table flip and consecutive punches, as he dubbed them. Can I be as powerful as him? Even if I'm only half as strong as him, I might be able to persuade father to relent. Todoroki reflected to himself, deciding to train his quirk and physical body harder than ever before. How are you not hurt at all? Tokiyami inquired of Naruto. Well, I'm just really durable, Naruto replied simply. Did you really expect a different answer? Hagakure added his voice to the conversation. Naruto shifted his gaze to Hagakure for a brief while. What is it? Hagakure asked, stammering slightly. It's really difficult to spot you, with your invisibility, Naruto replied, shaking his head. Students, are you okay? Present Mike yelled from the front entrance, followed by some other teachers. Looking around, they were astonished to see that all of the villains had been knocked out, as well as the students. Wow, this place was a shambles. It appears to have been a fierce struggle. After seeing the rubber and wreckage around the central plaza, one of the pro-heroes stated. Aizawa-sensei. Mike, who was present, yelled in distress, witnessing his condition. Oh, I forgot about him, Naruto said. Naruto reflected with some remorse. I'll offer him some bananas later as an apology, he said. 13. Aizawa, I'm glad to see you two are okay. Thank you for protecting the students, Nezu stated as he was helped to his feet by another teacher. The credit does not solely belong to us, it also belongs to the students. They were brave and fought as a class, protecting one another from the villains. While Aizawa was being brought away, 13 said. 13 then approached Nezu and whispered in his ear, causing Nezu to widen his eyes as he cast a sneaking glimpse at Naruto. While the professors were cleaning up and rounding up the other villains, the class gathered outside the dome as the cops arrived and took a head count. 19.20. All the kids are accounted for and are pretty much unharmed, except for the green-haired kid with the broken fingers, the chief detective stated. How is Aizawa-sensei? Asui inquired, concerned. His arms were riddled with comminuted fractures, and something strange happened to them. That was all I had been told. He will recover in a day or so. The detective responded, putting everyone at ease. While everyone else was discussing the attack and its aftermath, Naruto was off in his own little world. Say, what do you think he's thinking about? Mina inquired of Momo. He might be upset that the main villains escaped and is probably blaming himself, Momo replied. You have to respect him for that. Even after everything he's done, he's still beating himself up, Eijiro stated. In contrast to their misinterpretations of him, Naruto had completely different thoughts. Could I make today an excuse to eat hot pot for dinner? I'm hoping mom and dad will agree. When a police officer approached the detective and said something, he turned to Nezu and asked, I assume you know what happened to that monster your students and teacher told you about? That's it, Nomu? Yes, I'm aware, Nezu said with a nod. I also know what happened to it. Please keep in mind that it is a beast, not a human. The only way to stop it was to kill it. Yes, we know, the detective acknowledged. We weren't planning on pressing you on this, but with the lives of 20 students on the line, some drastic measures had to be done. Thank you, Nezu remarked as she bowed. I was also surprised because someone told me that there were even more criminals around the entire dome apart from the central plaza, but they had all been knocked unconscious. Do you think this was All Might's work? According to the detective. No, this time it was due to our students, Nezu said after a little pause. Well, one in particular, but I'd like to keep that a secret for the time being. I don't want anyone learning about it before the sports festival, especially after such an atrocity. The detective cocked an eyebrow but kept his mouth shut, nodding in agreement. Years of experience in the force had taught him that such issues should be handled with extreme discretion. After returning home and being denied hot pot, which irritated Naruto, the school was closed the following day due to the events of the attack. Naruto decided to make the most of his free day by reading 2 mangas instead of 1. That was until a pan made its way into his skull, forcing him to walk outside to get some supplies. Naruto wandered around inside a supermarket after leaving the house and approaching the city center, heading towards the aisle with various things on sale. This meat is 25% off, but this other one is only 20% off, but it's of higher quality. This is more difficult than fighting. Naruto remarked this as he faced his most difficult opponent yet, bargain sale. Crash, haha. You stinkin' heroes, you'll never catch me. A burst of insane laughter surprised everyone as a man with a big frame and sharp spikes emerging from his back stormed through the grocery wall. Arg, he's entered the supermarket. Someone ought to make him come out, Mount Lady stated to the other pro heroes who followed her inside. When the disturbed individual noticed Naruto still struggling to decide what to buy, he gave a dark grin. Ha! Did I scare you so badly you froze up? He approached Naruto, who absolutely ignored him. Irked, he exclaimed, "Hey! Are you deaf, you dummy?" The man raised his hand and slapped Naruto on the head. Naruto, however, whirled back and yelled, "Stop harassing me! Can't you see I'm in a moral quandary here?" He then kicked at the man's midsection, causing his eyes to practically explode out of their sockets as he was thrown falling out of the hole from which he had entered. Bang! What the? The pro heroes glanced at the figure of the crazed man who was trapped inside a car after being thrown into it, with a footprint on his abdomen. Is there another pro hero inside of the supermarket? Damn it! Just as I was about to capture this person, someone appears and steals the spotlight again, grumbled Mount Lady. Who was it before All Might? She simply saw Naruto stroll up to the counter and leave some money on the table before leaving with his meat after glancing inside the supermarket. I suppose whoever it was had already fled the scene. Doesn't that kid look familiar? Doesn't matter, Mount Lady thought, but then pushed the notion to the back of her mind. We can only say that we apprehended him with some assistance. Honey, we have plenty of meat in the freezer. There was no need to purchase anything else, his mother replied as she began to prepare dinner, leaving Naruto alone to ponder his existence. The following day, school was reopened for students to attend. While Tenya addressed the class, Naruto, still little dejected after the previous day's antics, reclined on top of his table. Hey, what's up with him? Eijiro inquired, pointing at Naruto. I guess he's still thinking about the attack the other day, Mina replied, her face concerned. I'm sure he'll be fine. These sorts of things take time, Kaminari remarked. Aizawa appeared as he walked through the door. In contrast to how badly injured he was in the original anime, he wasn't wrapped in bandages like a mummy this time. Only his arm and a few minor bruises were treated. You're back already? The entire class exclaimed. My injuries aren't too serious, but that's beside the point. We have more important things to discuss, Aizawa stated, standing in front of the class behind his desk. We need to get everyone ready for the sports festival, Aizawa explained. The sports festival? Everyone was surprised. However, we were only attacked a few days ago. Is it safe to continue with the sports festival? Uraraka inquired. That is exactly why we are doing it. If we cancelled the sports festival, we would appear weak to those who would plot and conspire against us. However, by conducting the event, we can demonstrate to everyone that we are not a basic school that can be hampered by villains, Aizawa elaborated. He then went on to describe the significance of the sports festival, claiming that it has grown to be the largest event in Japan. It is also an occasion where the country's top heroes can gather to assess a student's potential as a hero. The sports festival, huh? Naruto wondered to himself as they talked. There will be a swarm of heroes scouting us out. I don't really want to join an organization, but the internship program that follows this will force me to. Maybe I can solicit a favor from All Might. Ah, Uzumaki, here's what you requested, Aizawa stated as he tossed him a sealed box. You changed your costume? Mina inquired. Well, didn't Todoroki do the same? Todoroki nodded as Eijiro spoke. Not really a costume change, just something I wanted to try out on the side, Naruto explained as he opened the box, revealing a crimson sweatshirt. It was just like the one he wore at home. You asked for a hoodie? With a stunned gaze, Eijiro inquired. You can't ever be ready and in costume when a villain attacks, Naruto remarked, nodding. So, having more durable everyday gear on hand in case of an attack is really useful. Sensei, I would like to request something from the support department. Todoroki said this with a straight face. You know, that's not a bad idea, Mina replied, demanding more durable everyday wear. Hey, if you guys are gonna do it, don't leave me out. Going up to Aizawa, Eijiro stated. The rest of the class quickly realized what Naruto had wanted and followed suit. Do you guys think the support department is a place you can just order whatever you want from, for your own convenience? Aizawa massaged his head. The class remained silent for a time before responding, yes. Sigh fine. But do it after class and leave it on the table. I can't believe how far this has gotten. By the end of class, everyone had requested more durable civilian clothing to wear. That day was noted as a strange incident in the support department, as they were suddenly swamped with 20 strange requests from the same class all at once. Naruto was on his way to the canteen after class concluded, and lunch began, trailed by a few folks. Psst. Huh. Who's that? Mina inquired, turning around to see All Might peering around the corner and calling out to Naruto. Ignore him and just keep walking, Naruto instructed. Wait a minute. Young Uzumaki. I need to talk to you about something, so would you mind having lunch with me in the staff room? Please? All Might inquired. Sure. But I don't have my lunch with me, since I always eat at the canteen, said Naruto. Todoroki suddenly appeared from nowhere with a bag and opened it, asking Naruto, what kind do you prefer? So, I guess hot seafood, Naruto responded. Oh, that's nice. Thank you. I'll reward you with some cup ramen later. Naruto stated this as he snatched Todoroki's supper and went with all might. Eijiro peered inside Todoroki's bag and nearly died laughing when he discovered it was filled with several types of cup ramen. When Naruto arrived at the staff room, he saw Izuku already inside. Oh, Naruto. Were you also called by All Might? He inquired. Yup. Although I have a feeling about what All Might wants to talk about, Naruto remarked as he began boiling water in the corner with a kettle. I apologize for bringing you two in, but I have some important matters to discuss with the both of you, All Might remarked in his powered-down form. Slurp. So, what is it about? Slurping his noodles, Naruto inquired. First and foremost, I must express my gratitude to Uzumaki for his performance against the villains. I didn't have to push myself any further than necessary because of him. All Might remarked, bowing slightly in thanks to Naruto. Well then, would you say that this counts as a favor? Naruto inquired abruptly. I suppose if you want. But what kind of favor do you want? All Might inquired. I'll ask you later. Slurp, just continue with what you wanted to talk about first, Naruto said. We need to talk about the sports festival, All Might stated, nodding. As it stands, Midoriya, you still can't acclimate to the One for All. What are we going to do about it? I'm not sure, Izuku answered, looking down into his hands. Whenever I employ the power you bestowed upon me, it always backfires and harms me. However, I believe things are improving marginally. As the two continued conversing, Naruto spaced out and thought to himself, since there are 2 weeks till the sports festival, that means I have some spare time in between. Everyone will be training for it, so I think I'll do some as well. By broadening my literature knowledge. He returned his attention to the conversation, with All Might reminding Izuku that he doesn't have much time left to stand as the symbol of peace. The sports festival is a major event that the entire country will be watching. This is where you will enter the fray and declare yourself the All Might of the following generation, the symbol of peace, and you have to say I'm here. Cough coughs, sorry to rain on your parade there, but at his current state, it's going to be absolutely impossible, Naruto stated. He's right, looking down at his hands, Izuku murmured. For now, that is. Naruto then stated that he was too weary to continue the lengthy chat and changed the subject. He turned to face All Might and stated, I'll let you two talk, I'm leaving. Naruto had already exited the room and was in the hallway before All Might could react. He thought to himself as he walked down it, looking out the window. The symbol of peace. How would people respond if they discovered how powerful I am? Would they be scared? Happy? Or are you expecting something? The light shined down on Naruto's head as he walked along the corridor, shaking his head. There are 2 weeks till the sports festival. Following that comes the internship program. But I'm not interested in joining a group. I'll have to discuss it with the rat and All Might. While deep in thought, Naruto shook his head and stated, there's something more important to do before that. The limited time manga sale today, he shouted, the light shining down on his head. The rest of the day went on as usual, with Naruto attending the remainder of the afternoon classes until school let out, finally liberating him. However, before he could depart, a minor incident occurred in front of their class. A considerable crowd had formed outside of Class 1A, obstructing their egress. What's going on? Uraraka yelled. They're researching the competitors. They only want to visit the people who survived the villain attack. As he gazed at the individuals blocking their path, Katsuki said, "It's pointless to try, so why don't you just fuck off, ya goddamn mob." "I never knew you guys would be so arrogant," someone said over the din of the throng. "Are all the kids enrolled in the heroics department this way?" "Ah." Katsuki glared, becoming agitated. Shinso, the boy with the unruly indigo-colored hair, was about to continue when they were halted by a voice. "Could you please move out of the way? There's a large manga sale going on right now, and I don't want to be late." "Looking at you, you don't seem to be that strong, isn't that right?" Shinso asked, staring at Naruto. Everyone in Class 1A exchanged glances as images of Naruto defeating the villains and the Nomu flashed through their thoughts. "I wouldn't get on his bad side if you can," Todoroki said. "You may not realize it, but even if our entire class banded together, we wouldn't stand a chance against him." Everyone nodded, including Katsuki, who had to do it reluctantly. Looking at Naruto, who was still being prevented from leaving, the crowd began to speak in even louder tones. Naruto ignored everyone and walked past the crowd. Some individuals were also concerned after hearing that the entire Class 1A wouldn't be able to stand a chance against Naruto. "Ha! I don't believe it for 1 second. We'll find out on the day of the sporting event." Tetsu, a member of Class 1B, exclaimed as he climbed over the heads of the audience. "That's right. If you want to fight him, you must first go through me." As the two met eyes, Eijiro yelled at the person. While the kids were still conversing, Naruto was standing in front of a manga store that had been entirely demolished by a villain attack. Who is the villain in question? He was lying sprawled on the sidewalk, with a large palm print on the side of his face. Naruto stared up towards the sky, reflecting on his life. So, over the next 2 weeks, everyone worked hard to prepare for the impending sports festival. People were working out their bodies, training them on their quirks and how to effectively use them. Naruto, on the other hand, is honing his reading skills. While everything was going on, the people who raided UA high schools were meeting in a bar. "That little shit," Shigaraki muttered, recalling the events of their attack. "We saw how the Nomu was able to push back All Might, but that child was unharmed," Kurogiri stated as they addressed a monitor. The deep voice confronts them from the other side of the monitor. "What quirk did he have?" "We are not sure, but it might be related to his strength and durability," Kurogiri went on to say. "What quirk he has is of no importance. That fucking kid ruined our entire plan," said Shigaraki. "We were able to repel All Might, but then that bald kid appeared and spoiled everything. When I see him again, I'm going to make sure he suffers before killing him." Kurogiri declares quiet as silence pervades the tavern. The monitor's voice then spoke up. "You need to calm down. Everything will fall into place in due time. The findings of the first Nomu is sufficient. Not just that child, but All Might will perish soon." The monitor then abruptly shuts down. Shigaraki growled at the bar table, and the glass he was holding crumbled like dust. Naruto's apathetic and careless expression appeared in Shigaraki's head as if mocking him. Kurogiri stood on the sidelines as Shigaraki's rage erupted once more as he rushed out, forcing him to shake his head as he attended to the empty bar. As the speaker addressed Kurogiri, the monitor came back to life. "Tell me more about this boy." Nezu came down close to All Might and asked, "How is your successor coming along?" "Although it's been a slow start, he's starting to slowly come along," All Might stated with a sardonic smile. Nezu gave him a contemplative look and inquired, not so quietly, "What do you think of Naruto?" Everyone's gaze was drawn to the two. "The boy is powerful," All Might replied, shaking his head. "You should have all witnessed the remnants of the battle that took place. Let me assure you that it was not overstated." The professors exchanged angry whispers, with Present Mike interjecting, "I can't wait for the sports festival. He's going to put up a great performance. I bet not only him but the entire Class 1A. "Those kids are brave and strong," 13 observed, nodding her head. "They'll be excellent heroes in the future. However, it's difficult to believe that someone as powerful as Naruto is in our classes. We should consider ourselves fortunate that he is on our side." Vlad King also contributed. "That isn't a healthy way to think," Midnight remarked, leaning on the table. "Although he is physically strong, you must also evaluate his cerebral strengths. He will be of great assistance to heroes in the future," Nezu stated, nodding his head. "He could even be able to replace the symbol of peace." Nezu turned to face All Might, who simply shrugged his head. As the days passed, there was just one day till the sports festival. Naruto was currently thinking to himself in front of the mirror. This is where people will see my strength for the first time. I will not, under any circumstances, limit myself. People will be aware of my strength, but they will be unaware of its boundaries. Even I am unaware of my own limitations. But I have a sense. If I decided to destroy the world. Honey. Dinner has been prepared. His mother yelled at him. Naruto awoke from his trance and went downstairs to join his parents, who were discussing their day in the UA Sports Festival. Are you looking forward to tomorrow's event, Naruto? There will be many people observing you youngsters, his father informed him. I guess so, Naruto replied. Do you think you can get first place? His father made fun of him. Oh please, do you really think he'll lose? His mother snarled at his father. After all, he is my son. Yes, you're right, dear. With a smile, his father said. HMPH, you're correct. We'll be there to watch and cheer you on. We have some friends within the school, Naruto's mother explained, so it wasn't too hard to get some seats. After dinner, while his mother was doing the dishes, Naruto's father threw his arm around his shoulder and murmured to him. Say, do you have anyone you like yet? His father made fun of him. Naruto sighed exasperatedly, knowing that this would happen at some point. He decided to deceive his father and answered, yeah, sure, I do. His father paused for a time, but before he could say anything, they were stopped by a piercing voice. Alright, Naruto, honey. Did I just hear about a girl you like? And you haven't even told me? What about you, sweetheart? Are you keeping this from me? His mother spoke while holding a knife and a carrot in one hand. His father gulped and exclaimed, no, of course not. I just wanted to make certain. That's correct. You've seen how high school romances go. They don't always last a school semester. Ah, so are you saying that your love for me is only worth a high school semester? His mother said as she approached his father. No, I didn't mean it that way. Naruto, help me out here. Naruto? Seeing the back of Naruto, who had escaped into his room, his father implored. Naruto shook his head, yet his face flashed a faint smile. Those two. That's exactly what I'm working for. To keep them safe, as well as every other family out there. Although I can't have fun fighting, life doesn't revolve around constant fighting, he stated as he stood by his window, looking out at the night sky. There are other methods for me to have fun during the sports festival. The big day of the sports festival has arrived. Hundreds of people swarmed around the school, full with excitement and anticipation. Many professional heroes have decided to attend today's event in order to scout potential hero recruits. Everyone in Class 1A's waiting room was dressed in their sports uniforms and was enthusiastic. While he waited, Naruto was eating a banana, and the others were conversing. Todoroki then stood up and approached Izuku, speaking to him while eating a banana. Midoriya. Chu objectively, I believe I am stronger than you in terms of practical strength. Chu, despite having All Might's attention on you, I'm going to beat you. Todoroki stated. Momo, on the other hand, groaned and shook her head, adding, if he wanted to declare something like that, he should at least finish eating first. Naruto merely stared blankly as Izuku declared his intention to go all in and not fall behind in the competition. Well, if you two really want to do your best, why don't you first beat Naruto? Mina interrupted. Izuku and Todoroki looked at Mina, then at Naruto, and finally at each other. Both had a quiet understanding and completely ignored Mina. After that, an alarm went off inside their room, signaling that it was time to depart. The gang proceeded out of the passageway together into the open area, where hundreds of people were watching them, with Naruto leading the way. Many different classes came from the many tunnels that led to the center of the field and were grouped together as hundreds of people cheered for them. The Sports Festival, where the golden children of the hero world will compete for the top, our great annual melee. Let me guess, you all come to see them, right? The newly formed miraculous stars who repelled a mass villain assault with steel wills. Present Mike spoke cheerfully to persuade the crowd to applaud for the students, particularly Class 1A, who emerged together as the last in their group to do so. There's a lot of people watching us, huh? Looking around at the folks in the stands, Eijiro muttered. There's also a lot of pro heroes as well. Don't forget about that, Mina said. When they were all collected together, several of the other classes were irritated to learn that the majority of the people had come solely to observe Class 1A. Now, Be nice to each other. That is, for the time being. Midnight yelled as she waved her whip in the air. Now, let's bring up our representative of the students this year, Naruto Uzumaki from Class 1A, Midnight exclaimed. Well, that's to be expected, remarked Kaminari. He also is our class president. Can't forget that, Jiro said. Yeah, but do you think he's the type of guy who can deliver speeches? Hagakure inquired. The class then turned to look at Naruto, who was slowly approaching the stage in front of them. Midnight said to him before he could say anything, make sure you give a good performance now. Naruto felt a cold but disregarded it and continued to stand in front of the microphone. Hold on, I wrote something for this, Naruto said as he rummaged through his pockets for a piece of paper, making everyone wait. Well, let's see. Milk in 2 cartons. 2 bottles of soy sauce. A pinch of salt. 3 packages of seaweed. But wait. This is the incorrect paper, Naruto said, prompting everyone in Class 1A to cringe. The entire arena was deafeningly quiet until a hero from the stands jumped up and exclaimed, I get what he meant. He is enumerating all that we heroes are defending. We are working to safeguard people in the city so that our families can eat in peace and go grocery shopping for their children and families. What he described as an example of what we must strive to safeguard and a reminder that we must never forget. The arena fell silent once more. Until everyone burst out in euphemistic applause and excessive cheering. Some folks were moved to tears as they thanked the heroes sat next to them. This young man, he is an inspiration to all. Naruto just stood there on stage, not knowing what to do. He looked at Midnight and noticed she was crying. He returned to his classmates after deciding it was a bad idea to stay. Mount Lady's eyes were somewhat crimson as she said from the stands, he would make a great PR manager. Naruto's parents exchanged glances, and his mother inquired, isn't that the shopping list we gave Naruto last week? Let's just enjoy the atmosphere. His father said happy that his son was able to inspire so many people. Momo returned to his gang and said, please tell me you actually planned all of this. Do you want the truth or the lie? Naruto inquired, holding up a piece of paper. Never mind, Momo murmured with a shake of her head. Naruto shook his head and crumpled the paper before tossing it aside. Todoroki's brows furrowed as he pulled the paper from everyone's gaze and pocketed it. After everyone had calmed down, Midnight addressed the gathering. Now, sniff asterisk, let's get this party started. The first game is referred to as a qualifier. Now, here is the first game. Midnight yelled as a display appeared behind her, displaying a gigantic rotating image until the words, obstacle race, appeared. An obstacle course race, mumbled Izuku. All 11 classes will participate in this race. Midnight continued to explain. The course will be the stadium's outer perimeter, approximately 4 kilometers. The selling pitch of our school is independence. Midnight then licked her lips, displaying a cruel side, saying, as long as you stay on course, it doesn't matter what you do. Naruto put a thoughtful expression on his face as he pondered, what counts as being on the course? Is there a height restriction? I'd better not take the chance. Everyone gathered in front of a massive gate, leading to the obstacle course just outside. As the green lights began to count down to the start of the race, everyone's tension and excitement began to rise. The buzzer went off when the final light went out. Start! Midnight exclaimed. Everyone suddenly began to rush forward, pushing through the newly opened gate to the outside. However, because everyone began to hurry forward at the same time, the tiny hallway quickly filled up, leading people to push and pull against each other, making movement even more difficult. Naruto stood at the back of the group, turning around and asking, Sensei, is there a height limit? No, not really, Midnight said to Naruto. Not as long as you keep inside the course parameters. Naruto nodded and turned to face the group of students. He brought one leg down to the earth by lifting it up. Crack, the ground fractured and spread outwards like a web to the rest of the students, causing them to lose their equilibrium as if a tiny earthquake had just abruptly appeared. Naruto went forward at a leisurely speed, stepping on the individuals as he strolled past them, virtually all of the students knocked over. Whoa! Exclaimed Present Mike during his live analysis. Did you just see that? He managed to make all the kids fall over like dominoes in only one move, allowing him to effortlessly bypass the busy hallway. Aizawa remained silent and merely observed. A tremendous blast of ice shot out from within the crowd once Naruto left the passageway and emerged outside ahead of everyone else, freezing the hallway and the walls. Todoroki pushed forward, using the ice on the ground beneath his feet to assist him gain pace. The other students' legs were completely frozen due to his ice. The rest of Class 1A then rushed out from among the crowd, using their quirks to avoid the rest of the students. Naruto, who was in the lead, turned around to see Katsuki and Todoroki running towards him, hoping to go around him. "Oh. That has to hurt," Present Mike exclaimed, but was stunned to see Naruto was perfectly well, despite the robot's arm being entirely mangled around his figure. Wow. What is he made of to be so strong? Present Mike yelled, turning to face Aizawa, who remained silent. Naruto's mother laughed at Present Mike's words from the stands, saying, "Of course, something like that wouldn't hurt him. After all, he is my son." Naruto's father merely smirked and continued to watch. "Well, that doesn't matter, since the obstacles have shown up suddenly, the first barrier. How will they get past what?" continued Mike. Naruto had nonchalantly run by the robots before Present Mike could finish speaking, and when they tried to stop him, he simply struck it, causing it to break and erupt into bits, allowing him to continue running. Well. As expected from the top entrance exam scorer, Naruto Uzumaki from Class 1A. Defeating it with one hit, he's the first one through, Mike yelled, attempting to redeem himself from his blunder. Todoroki then raised his arm and declared, "I will not be left behind," as he moves away. He extended his arm forward, and a wave of ice followed his movements towards the robot in front of him, totally encasing it in ice. "Where do you think you're going, you half-and-half bastard?" Katsuki yelled and blasted his way through the crowd, attempting to catch up to Todoroki. Naruto then came upon the next hurdle, which was a large pit with numerous pillars in it and ropes connecting from them that would let people pass through them. Oh. Uzumaki from Class 1A appears to have already reached the next challenge, the fall. How will he pass this one? Mike, who was present, exclaimed. "That's quite a long way down," Naruto said, looking down the massive drop. Naruto simply bent his legs slightly and launched into the air, looking over the massive chasm to the other side. Crack! The ground behind him shattered beneath his might, prompting Todoroki to stumble a little from the ruined ground. When Naruto arrived on the other side of the gap, he simply strolled forward at a brisk speed, as if taking a casual stroll, with Present Mike once again at a loss for words. To be continued.
That's it for this part, guys. Thanks for listening to this video. I hope you did enjoy this part of the story, and if you did, like, share, and subscribe for more. And thank you all for your support, and have a great day.